Greetings, brothers and sisters. So I want to start here. I got a lot of things to get to. Joe Rogan deal with Spotify is actually worth more than $200 million. I got JoJo Magoo coming about they're really pushing for this thing and the war with Russia and the Ukraine. And I haven't watched it yet, but I know it's, I just can tell by the energy of the thing. Stuff to do with Kanye, follow up on Kanye. But let's start here. Spotify's deal with Joe Rogan, the popular podcast host who has attracted a swarm of controversy in recent weeks, is worth more than $200 million, according to a new report by the New York Times. So they originally said it was worth $100 million, and, now they're saying 200. And so there was a bidding war for Joe Rogan. And they're just not giving him the money. Like, he's attracting users to their platform. I think he gets 12 million users per episode. So that's why he's making that much money, right? He's bringing all those customers into Spotify, right? I don't know how Spotify works, but I assume they need customers. So it's worth it to them to pay him $200 million because they're going to make that money back off of the customers he's bringing onto the platform. And they're business people. They're not saying, oh, Joe Rogan seems like a nice guy, let's give him $200 million. They have to be, they have to justify that amount of money by what he's contributing to their platform. So he might be making them. I mean, who knows how much he's making them, right? It's in the, millions. It's not like they're making 1 million, he's making 200, right? So the customers he's bringing in and, whatever he's doing for them on his podcast, I don't know if they run ads or what, whatever money they're making off of Joe Rogan is going to be more than $200 million, right? And so that's why they didn't cancel him over that, that made up controversy. I don't think Joe Rogan's a truther and, he is what he is, right? Maybe he's, certainly better than mainstream media. Like, I could watch Joe Rogan and get something out of it. Not that I would, but I could, right? When I see his podcast, I understand why people watch it. I don't understand why people watch CNN. Like, I don't know. Like, why would you sit down and watch it? Like, what's going on inside of you that, I understand why people eat chocolate or honey or, an apple, right? I can't understand why someone would eat crap, it's a great analogy. And so, to do with that, here is the what Ye's online warfare reveals about the dangers of celebrity fandom. Some of the fans of the rapper formerly known as Kanye West see his social media warfare as a meme fodder, but others worry the attention is unhealthy. And so this is about somebody who posted this meme. They made this meme, which was the Civil War, which is from Marvel, Captain America. And they have Kanye against Pete Davidson, and then there's Drake and some other famous people here. Julia Fox, Travis Scott, and Future. Team Pete Davidson, Kim Kardashian, Kid Cudi, Billie Eilish, and Taylor Swift, right? So Kanye shared this, and so they're talking about this thing here. What they don't realize, and I haven't talked about this yet, is Kanye's dropping an album, right? So this is Pete Davidson's Instagram, no posts. And Kanye's dropping an album, his second version of Donda, named after his mother. And now all this is about that, right? And so he brought attention to his Instagram using his divorce. He does this all the time. They have these fake rap beefs that happen right before a rapper drops an album, right? Eminem had this fake beef with Snoop Dogg, and then he dropped an album. Like, they just do these kind of things to draw attention to them, right? Snoop Dogg and Eminem were just performing on the Super Bowl together. It was something that was just contrived to bring attention to, the rapper, and then they release an album. They do this in pop music as well, right? And so Kanye is doing something different with this album. Donda 2 will not be available on streaming platforms like Apple and Spotify and all these other different forms, because he talked about somewhere in here, he talked about the amount of money that the artists make, and it's like 10% or 7% of the sale of each song. And so Kanye's streaming this himself, which means he needs more publicity. Like he's, a genius with these things. He's actually good at self-promoting and bringing attention to himself. And this is part of it. The Skeet Davidson thing is a big part of him releasing this album. It says here, Donda 2 will only be available on my own platform, the Steam player, not Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or YouTube. Today's artists get just 12% of money the industry makes. It's time to free music from the oppressive system. It's time to take control and build our own. Go to steamplayer.com now to order, which, I'm not going to do, right? Like, I like Kanye's music and I'd be interested in this, but I mean, for me, that's a hassle, right? But I understand why he's doing it, and I think being an independent artist away from all these, megalomaniac companies is an important move, right? Obviously. And so, but it's just a hassle, right, for people who aren't technologically savvy, and like, how do you get the music on your phone, right? All these things. It's a whole learning curve, right? But here it said, Kanye beefs Taylor Swift, Nike, Kim K, his cousin Wiz Khalifa, Billie Eilish, Pete Davidson, these other people, right? Amber, I don't know who Amber is. Amber Rose, George Bush Jr., Kris Jenner. Come on, guys, this list is twice as long. You got to put Apple, Spotify, Vivendi, Universal, Lucian, Grange, TikTok, Black History Month. He has a beef with Black History Month. Obama, the whole cast of SNL, Hillary Clinton, the devil himself, Corey Gamble, Bezos, Charlemagne, Disney, liberals, and of course Skeet, and any and all corny shit in general. Can somebody from Chicago let these people know what Skeet meant? You can look it up. Somebody sent me. People are telling me what Skeet meant. I'm not going to tell you because it's kind of gross and whatever. But there's a Dave Chappelle bit on Skeet out there. One of my viewers shared with me. Wow, being rich is fun. So yeah, Kanye's a genius in various ways. I guess he's got this this biography I want to watch. I want to watch all 3 episodes at once. My wife and I are interested in it. So he's got this thing streaming on Netflix right now. Some sort of 3-part autobiography about him being some sort of a genius, right? And then, which he loves, right? He's got, he's got a big ego and he's Kanye, but, he's good at all these things. He's been very successful. He's a billionaire financially, and he's good at self-promoting. And so this is, part of what's going on here. And, like this new, independent artists streaming their own stuff. I know that Louis C.K. did made a lot of money by streaming his own specials. Like he had some sort of a deal he made, $5 a pop, and he would just, bypass all these, these platforms that, take a lion's share of the profit. But anyways, that's Kanye. Jeff Zucker says girlfriend Allison Goulust is doing fine after CNN exit. Thank God. I was worried about Goulust. Like, I can't to tell you how many sleepless nights I've had worrying about these 2 ghouls and how they're, dealing with the loss of their lucrative employment and their, $1 million, $100 million contract and stuff. I'm glad that they're doing fine because I was worried. Does she need like a GoFundMe thing? You left CNN. Like, I think anybody who leaves CNN is doing fine. So one of my viewers, friends on Facebook sent me this and said, Alec is really melting down. And I would have imagined it was not as bad as it actually is. It's really, really weird, even for Alec. He's falling apart. There's one thing I should say here. Police experiment reveals Alec Baldwin could have fired gun in rush shooting without actually pulling the trigger. One of the most shocking claims to surface from the tragic incident that took the life of was that Alec Baldwin said he didn't pull the trigger, right? Santa Fe Court District Attorney Mary Carmack Altwies said her team conducted an informal experiment to see if what Alec Baldwin was saying was possible. It turns out it is. Well, possible doesn't mean probable. So she had one of her employees has one of these old type style Western guns. And it says you can pull the hammer back without actually pulling the trigger, without actually locking it. So you can pull it back partway. It doesn't lock. And then you let it go. The firing pin can hit the primer of the bullet. But it can. Like, how many times did they try it before it actually did it? And that doesn't mean he's actually telling the truth. But, this is good news for Alec because it even though it's like a 1 in a million occurrence, as long as it's possible, then that part of his story is hard to dispute, right? And so that's good for Alec. But, the lawsuits kicked in and he's losing it. And he continues to melt down here.
Today's the day I met my wife.
Today, but you've been married for at least 10 years.
February 18th.
Touch your face. Touch your face.
2011.
2011. 2011. Is he on drugs?
11 years ago today, I went with my friend Brendan to the
He's very pleased with himself.
NYU Student Film Festival. And we went out to eat afterward. We went to Pure Food and Wine. It's ironic that today I saw the trailer for Bad Vegan about Sarma, who was the owner of Pure Food and Wine. I met my wife at Pure Food and Wine.
He's losing it.
On February 18th, 2011. 11 years ago today. Hard to believe. Anyway.
Yes, Alec. Alec is falling apart here. He's a little pleased with himself. Almost like a little kid. He's into Britney. This is Britney land, right? I can't. Alex has reached Britney land here. Keep the camera on yourself for dramatic effect. That's weird. So Hilaria, I love you and your stories are told very Alec ? Like she's even freaked out. And then there's multiple replies. Yes. A few pauses, but of course that was part of the essence of your husband and why you love him. Congratulations on this very special day for you both and your beautiful family. You two are perfect together. I think you're the only one who he'll listen to. He knows he will listen to nobody else. He knows you adore him and will always be there for him. I always look forward to Alec's stories and I love your family. I love how your husband shares his thoughts. You can tell he is deeply in love with his wife. So beautiful to listen to. These are the kind of people that can watch CNN. You can tell how much he loves you when he talks about you to the kids. TLF card, I don't know what that means. Cool. You are amazing. And so that's Alec. This is his Instagram page. And I didn't see this one. I'll cover this on another day. Oh, there's other videos. He's put some videos up here. I haven't seen this one and this one. But I want to get to JoJo Magoo. I got another video on Billy Bob Master Gates on my other channel, apocalaughsnow. So that's interesting to see. And I'm working on another journey thing. So I want to get to JoJo Magoo here.
Today, I made 2 vital calls, as I've been making for some months.
Yeah, but you said that they don't even allow you to have a phone. How did that happen?
Now, 2 vital calls that on the situation in Russia and Ukraine. The first was to a bipartisan group of members of Congress who are currently representing the United States along with Vice President Harris at the Munich Security Conference. The second was the latest in a series of calls over the past many months with the heads of state of our NATO allies and the European Union.
JoJo's doing serious business. He's making calls to important people.
To bring them up to date on what the United States thinks is the current state of affairs and what's likely to happen in Ukraine in the coming days, to ensure that we continue to remain in lockstep, that is, the European Union,
Lockstep and barrel,
and NATO. Despite Russia's efforts to divide us at home and abroad, I can affirm that has not happened. The overwhelming message of on both calls was one of unity, determination, and resolve. I
bet they were wonderful calls. They sound like wonderful calls. Maybe we can share them with all of us so we can see how wonderful and united we are.
Shared with all of those on the calls what we know about a rapidly escalating crisis in Ukraine. Over the last few days, we've seen reports of a major uptick in violations of the ceasefire by Russian-backed fighters attempting to provoke Ukraine and the Donbass. For example, a shelling of a Ukrainian kindergarten yesterday, which Russia...
It was a kindergarten. That wasn't a first grade school. It wasn't, it was just a kindergarten. It wasn't an elementary school, just a kindergarten itself. They picked the kindergarten away from they didn't go to first grade or second grade or third grade. They found out where the kindergarten was, and they shelled the crap out of it. Listen, this guy never lies. I mean, except when he does.
I've done some dumb things, and I'll do dumb things again. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've been dumb.
As falsely asserted was carried out by Ukraine. We also continue to see more and more disinformation being pushed out to the Russian public, including Russian-backed separatists, claiming that Ukraine is planning to launch a massive offensive attack in the Donbass. Well, look, there is simply no evidence of these assertions, and it defies basic logic.
He's talking about a false flag event here. He knows about false flags.
To believe the Ukrainians would choose this moment with well over 150,000...
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy when, some inferior force does something crazy and hits a superior military country, like a group of random guys that hit military, the biggest country with the strongest military in the world, not the biggest country, but the country with the strongest military in the world, and hits them with some, catastrophic event that sets, a bunch of events into motion. Like, it would be crazy for such things to happen, right? You're saying that. We're getting that right from JoJo Magoo.
Troops arrayed on its borders to escalate a year-long conflict. Russia's state media also continues to make phony allegations of a genocide taking place in the Donbass.
Exactly. Like, look at this guy. Touch it, JoJo. Touch it. Exactly. When America said that, Gaddafi was going to, kill some of his people and we had to invade there, but that turned out to be false completely. That you and your boss, Obama, and Hillary Clinton all lied about that in the UN and all that stuff, right? Remember that? You remember that, bro? You remember it, right? Like...
and push fabricated claims warning about Ukraine's attack on Russia without any evidence. That's just what I'm sure Ukraine's thinking of doing, attacking Russia.
Exactly. These smaller countries or, individual organizations that would attack some big country in such a manner when they're outnumbered and outgunned. It's crazy. Why would they do that? I don't know. It makes no logical sense. I don't know.
All of these are consistent with the playbook the Russians have used before.
And not our playbook. This is not, we don't know any of those plays. We don't have any of those plays in our playbook.
To set up a false justification to act against Ukraine. This is also in line with the pretext scenarios that the United States and our allies and partners have been warning about for weeks. Throughout these tense moments, the Ukrainian forces have shown great judgment and, I might add, restraint.
They're just so restrained. They just sit there restrained because they're being provoked.
They refuse to allow the Russians to bait them into war. But the fact remains, Russian troops currently have Ukraine surrounded from Belarus along the Russian border.
I've shown you in other videos all the military bases that America has around Iran and Russia and China, right? And so, this guy, right?
With Ukraine to the Black Sea in the south and all of its border. Look, we have reason to believe the Russian forces are planning to and intend to attack Ukraine in the coming week, in the coming days.
Which is it, weeks or days?
We believe that they will target Ukraine's capital, Kyiv.
Look at his eyes. I mean, he's getting more and more like Deliverance Boy here.
A city of 2.8 million innocent people. We're calling out Russia's plans loudly and repeatedly, not because we want a conflict, but because we're doing everything in our power to remove any reason that Russia may give to justify invading Ukraine and prevent them from moving. Make no mistake, if Russia pursues its plans, it will be responsible for a catastrophic and needless war of choice. The United States and our allies are prepared to defend every inch of NATO territory from any threat to our collective security as well.
So a war of choice, unlike what he's saying, the war in Iraq, which was not a war of choice, the war in Afghanistan that was not a war of choice, the police action and the regime change war in Libya, that wasn't a war of choice. I mean, these were things that were completely choice. They were wars of choice. America wasn't at threat by any of these countries. We all know that. It's all BS, right? And so America is, what he's saying is America can go to war with anybody, but, Russia can't. Like, this is America can have nuclear weapons, but other countries can't, right? Because we're more stable than they are. We're more legitimate, right? And this is like the problem with America. It's just the lying. What we can do this, but you can't do it. The same thing with the media and, all these things, right? We get to do this, but you can't. And it's a big problem with people in power, right? If you're going to do something, then, other people get to do the same thing. Like, that's when you engage in a behavior. If you do something to somebody, then someone else can do the same thing to you. That's, and it doesn't even have to be now. It could be in a future life, right? And once you engage in behaviors that are undesirable, like things that you won't want to be done to you, then you have that kind of, unchecked power where you do things that are wrong and you wouldn't like those things being done to you. Those things are going to come back to you in some way. And you just have to accept it, right? All of us do, as a country and as individuals.
We also will not send troops in to fight in Ukraine, but we will continue to support the Ukrainian people.
Anyways, enough of JoJo Magoo. I want to move on because I got other things to do. Beautiful day today. But, the lies. Right? I don't have much to say here. I have one good comment I want to read. His funny comment. The person was talking about Metaverse. Like I talked about Metaverse, and I watched this video, and it looked awful. Like it's just the avatars are people from the waist up, and it just looked like chaos and just there's music and all these people are talking in a room. So it isn't like you go into a room and everybody who's in the room can talk, right? And they are. Like, so this person wrote this. Metaverse is awful. Americans insist on playing rap music as a personal soundtrack everywhere they go. It's like 10 awful rap songs playing at once. I found a quiet place and all I could hear was a child was saying, "No, don't touch me there. That's my no-no square." I don't know what that is. Metaverse is a dump, right? They have these quiet spaces you can go, but why would you go to a quiet space in Metaverse, right? Where you can find a quiet space, hopefully, in your real life. I mean, that's what the Heartfulness Meditation provides. Finding a quiet space, even like in a crowded area where you can close your eyes and go inside and meditate. Or even with your eyes open, can just sort of get into that meditative state, even in a chaotic type of environment. But the whole thing at Facebook is just failing on every level. So I thought I'd throw that in there. But I just want to comment on this war thing. America is assed out, like broke, just bankrupt. I mean, beyond like anything we can conceive of, our financial system is completely effed. And war is like distractions are the only thing that can keep the thing going, keeping it afloat. And those distractions are getting more and more severe over time. And, war with Russia is like one of the, sort of like last big time Hail Marys that they can throw out there, but it isn't going to stop anything. And so, once that happens, it happens. And and there are mistakes you make in your life. Like, let's say something causes you to, lose some ability, right? Like you get, you have an accident because you're being reckless, or you do something that causes permanent damage, right? Permanent brain damage or loss of use of some sort of a sense, or, loss of a limb or something, right? Once in a while you make mistakes that you just can't fix, you can't repair. And that was just, one type of example. But relationships where, you do something where you lose somebody you love, right? Because you really, effed up, or and you can't fix it, right? Even if you get back together, your relationship's never going to be the same. You have these things that happen in life where you make big time mistakes and there's no do-overs, no mulligan. You have to suffer the effects and consequences. You can't put it back together, right? You break something and it can't be fixed. And that's what's going to happen. You're going to see, humanity breaking things on this planet, and there's already things that are broken that we don't even know yet. Things that are poisoned, things are, there's no way to put the genie back in the bottle. And so, like, the only thing we can do is connect to God and be able to, adjust ourselves and ride the difficult, whatever the future holds for us, especially for our kids and grandkids, and just survive this period of time and then hopefully come out the other end better. And that's all you can do. And, whatever. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paramato. Definitely reporting from the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.